Welcome back to the Elise Turkov podcast, where we help women in perimenopause and menopause thrive inside out. All right. On this short episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about consistency over intensity. And this is something that is, it's like the long game, right? It's just like playing it out is so hard to do. But if you are someone who is just like, you got so much going on and you find that you're always starting over again, you're like, oh my gosh, Monday I'm going to like eat well and I'm going to like get my gym workouts in, and you get started. And then you're like, yeah, I'm crushing it Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday you're like, I skipped a workout, and Thursday comes and you're like, fuck, it's okay. I still have the weekend. And then you're just like, fuck it. And you're like, you know what? I know what I did wrong. I'm going to do this app instead. So like Monday, it's like, here we go. Take two, going to do the app. And you're like, fuck, the app isn't working. I don't like these workouts. My nutrition is shit. All right, you know what? I'm going to follow a meal plan. And then you're like, next Monday, I'm going to follow a meal plan. I'm going to get the girls. And you can see where I'm going with this, right? It's like you're just constantly starting over. You are consistently starting over. You will master whatever you do consistently. I'm going to say that again. You will master whatever you do consistently. So if you are yo-yo dieting, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, you are so good at being a yo-yo dieter because you've consistently done it. Women who say to me, I've been struggling with my weight for years, I'm like, oof, then you're really good at it because you've been consistent with struggling. You've always been, quote unquote, on the struggle bus, right? Or let's say you are someone who loves to read. Okay. And so you're having a conversation with someone, you're talking about your top 10 books, and you're like, oh my gosh, I read all these books. And you're talking to someone who's like never read a book. And you're like, well, I mean, I didn't just like sit down and read 50 books in one weekend. I've been reading, books my whole life. I've been reading books since I'm, in school. I just love reading. So like you've been consistent in reading. So now you've got a wealth of knowledge that have come from books. Okay. You see where I'm going for this? Whatever you're doing really well in your life. Now, don't confuse well with being optimal. So like you could be yo-yo dieting really well. You could be gaining weight really, really well. You could be making excuses really well. You can be under muscled really, really well because you've always found an excuse to not do it. All right. Now, I think the problem here is that we get into intensity, and these are the women that we don't welcome into the program. These are the women that we are looking to not work with. They're the women that are like, they come in with like a high amount of intensity where they're like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm so sick and tired of feeling like shit. And like, just tell me what to do and tell me what to eat. And like, I'm just going to listen to you. It's like drill sergeant coach. I'm going to like do, an hour of cardio every day. And I'm going to like get a meal plan going. And it's just like this intensity is so high that it's unsustainable. Okay. So like, you're not going to win. You're going to go back to being consistent in failing. And so who we like to work with are the women that are stuck in that, like, I'm consistent at failing at everything because I'm constantly starting over. And here's the magical part. If you can master a skill in one area of your life, you can master it in the other. So if you've like mastered yo-yo dieting because you're consistently starting over, it also means that like you've got the bandwidth, the knowledge, the whereabouts to consistently stop doing that and change that pattern of behavior by keeping going. All right. So what does consistency look like day to day? Consistency looks like a slow, boring, fuck your feelings, follow the plan kind of day. It is not I'm tired, so I'm just going to sleep in, or that guy was a dick to me, so I'm going to eat my feelings, or I'm feeling stressed, so I'm just going to have an extra glass of wine, or it's okay, I've been good all week, I'm just going to have this. All right. It is sticking to the plan in a way that you are going to adhere to. Now, I will also just pause and just say that, like, scientifically speaking, there's no drawback of intensity. So if you're like, I just want to lose 50 pounds as fast as possible, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you can maintain it. So people will say slow and steady wins the race. That's true. You can also win the race really fast. It's just you're more likely to not sustain that pace of how you got there, right? So like if you're losing weight by keto or injections or something that is super restrictive and you're not making any other changes, then when you stop that pattern of behavior, everything else is still constant. And you're going to go right back to where you were. It's just not sustainable. Okay. So when we look at consistency, it's like, what do you do when you fuck up? How quickly can you go back to baseline? That is resiliency. So, like, let's say baseline and consistency of baseline is like I hit about 80% of my macros, or like I'm mostly on plan there. I do my fucking workouts and movement every single day, no matter how I feel. I prioritize my sleep. I manage my stress. It's not sexy. I say no to shit. I leave parties early. Like, how unsexy can you make this is going to be your consistency baseline right there. And you can choose how consistent you want to be, right? If you want to have faster results, more consistency, 90% consistency, less, like, slower results, which is totally fine. A little bit more cushion, more freedom, a little bit less consistency, that like 70%. All right. But the real question is, what happens when you fuck up? Not if, but when, because you will. How quickly can you get to that baseline? So if, like, you fuck up and you're like, oh my God, I stayed out late, I got drunk, but tomorrow, I'm not going to do my workout. I'm just going to skip it. And then I'm going to skip the next day because I'm just so tired. Well, you're not really getting back to baseline quickly, right? You're kind of taking your time, which means consistency is getting thrown out the window, which means you need to change your baseline or you need to change your habits. Because at the end of the day, how consistent you are is going to determine how successful you are. And remember, success is subjective. Someone could be like, I just can't lose weight. I'm always yo-yo dieting. I'm like, well, then you're really successful at being a yo-yo dieter, right? But if you're trying to, like, actually lose weight, you're going to have to redefine your baseline of consistency and make sure that you can adhere to it on the hardest of days, or how quickly you can get back to it. So, a lot of times we'll say to women, hey, I just want you to, like, do your movement. I want you to hit your step count. I want you to hit your workouts. And I want you to hit, like, X amount of protein per day. And they're like, that's it? Like, you can go harder. And I'm like, well, let's just try this. And they try and they're like, well, this is easy. And I'm like, well, how was it on the hard days? And you're like, no, on those days it was really hard. I'm like, okay, well, imagine if you took that intensity up times 10, what would you have done after? And they're like, oh, no, fuck, I wouldn't. I was talking to a client and she was like, I don't, it's been over the summer and, like, I went on a trip and I just, like, it was awful. Like, I came back, I was 2 pounds heavier. And I said, okay, let me ask you this question. Like, what happened last summer when you went away? And she's like, oh my God, I gained like 10 pounds. I'm like, all right. So, like, we only gained 2. I think that's a huge improvement, right? Like, intensity wasn't there, but consistency was there even while you were on vacation. So now you're not setting yourself back 10 pounds when you come back. You're only down 2 pounds, which is, like, super easy. Most of that's just inflammation anyways. And she's like, oh my God, you're right. I didn't think of it like that. I'm like, right. Because in the end, consistency will always win. So let this be your reminder. If you're someone who just loves to start over again, someone who just is like, give me more, let's go harder, I can go faster, the name of the game is consistency. All right, hate me or love me, I hope this helps. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I will see you on the next time.